Yes people, Shifty E-Bikes back at it again with another absolute banger today. So today we're going to be comparing the Light Bee or other small bikes compared to the Ultra Bee, the bigger platform. So I did have a Triple X for around 2 years, so I have got a fair bit of experience. I've rode Light Bees, I've rode Talaria Stings, stuff like that. So there is a couple of things that's a drawback for the Ultra Bee and a positive for the Light Bee and vice versa. Breaking it down, handling, speed, power, suspension, literally everything. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Make sure you're hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel to make sure you don't miss out on any extra content that's coming out in the next few weeks, because there's some really big things. Let's get straight into it.
So there's so many things that are going to take into account here. So you've got size, power, handling of the bike, comfort. You've got a lot of things to be thinking about. This is definitely one of them videos for you, because this is going to give you some actual insight as to which one you should buy really. And if you're on a Light Bee and you're thinking about more power, it's also about if you want to actually move from a Light Bee to the Ultra. They are completely different bikes really, but still the exact same fun factor. Look at this for an hill, man. Woo! Trying to start the rock, it's not rocky, but ooh. So basically what I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with the size, because the size is the biggest thing that you're going to be thinking about. Moving from a Light Bee to the Ultra Bee, it does go from riding a souped up mountain bike to riding a small crosser really. So if you are liking that small form factor where you can throw your bike over a fence if need be, or if you're getting in some sticky situations, doing some real tight technical stuff, you need to be able to U-turn. Ooh, tree in the way. You need to be able to U-turn on a dam type thing, then yeah, it's probably the Light Bee that's going to be better for you in that respect. But there's also so many other things to factor in. So you have obviously got the size. The size is the big thing, and also the size is going to lead me straight into the next point, which is the weight. So don't get me wrong, in no way, shape or form am I then slagging this bike off by saying it's bigger, it's heavier and all that sort of stuff, because I'm not really complaining about it like that. I'm just saying, if you are factoring this in, you are definitely going to have to think about this. So actual weight of the bike, once you're riding it, it doesn't feel much heavier, other than if you're doing some like really technical, like rock to lock, side to side type things. That's the only real time you're going to notice that this bike's obviously a lot bigger and a lot more difficult to turn around. But once you're actually riding it, you do not feel the weight. So like now, it feels the same as when I was riding my Triple X really. Oh, look at this beautiful little spot. So, power and weight and size I've talked about. Next thing that's going to go straight into them two is your suspension. So this thing here is the cushiest ride I've ever had. I've rode Light Bees, I obviously had a Triple X for 2 years. I've rode the Stinger, I've rode all these other small e-bikes really, and nothing compares to this suspension wise. This is a proper beast. It's got the proper ability that you're going to be wanting from one of these big bikes. Ooh, brake lines sort of kink. So yeah, actual suspension, this is so much better. Like, I know obviously my Triple X didn't have a linkage or anything like that. I'm not saying that a linkage makes that much difference, but yeah, the Talaria X3 did feel like a lot more of a hardtail, and to be honest, even on a Light Bee, it feels a bit spongy. It is springier on the back, but it's a bit sort of spongy. It's a bit strange really. So yeah, suspension, weight and size are definitely three things that are going to set this apart from a Light Bee to an Ultra Bee. So if you was talking about power and stuff like that, that's a complete different story again. Because the actual power of this, you got 12.5 kilowatts, which is more than double a Light Bee, more than double a Triple X. Even the Stinger and stuff, it does feel a lot faster than that. But 12.5 kilowatts on a bike size like this still feels more than adequate. I did think that obviously when you're 72 volt a Triple X, you're getting about the same power as this. But I think this is actually built for the power. This feels aggressive, super torquey. You stick this into sport mode, you rip that throttle, your front wheel is going up big time, or you're getting absolutely zero traction, you're just going to skid for 5 minutes. This has got so much power, considering obviously it is only 12.5, which is some like low end 72 volt bikes. But yeah, like I say, this power, absolutely amazing. Obviously on the 74 volt 55 amp hour battery, I'm at 93%. I've probably gone about 3 miles already, but as long as you're keeping steady between about 20 and 30 mile an hour, this has got so much range, so much to where you're not even going to really need to think about range anxiety that much. Another thing that I did forget to mention about the SARS is obviously it has got a slightly longer wheelbase. I think it's around 30-40 mil, something like that. But that extra long wheelbase actually makes the bike feel 10 times more capable. But yeah, when you're talking about the power on this bike, yeah, loads did look great, but I think for about 80% of the people buying an Ultra Bee, you would not need more power than this. I ride almost 80% in daily, really. Sometimes I'll flick it into sport, but to be honest, sport has got too much torque. Just a bit too aggressive for me, really. I mean, at 25 mile an hour, at 25 mile an hour, it'll easily wheelie right up to 40. With the right rider, I'll probably do 45, 50 mile an hour still in a wheelie. Just too toppy with the sport. Just wants to send you off the back of the bike. Rip both your arms off and just let the bike just push off in front of you. So I'm going to go over some of the specs and stuff that come with the Ultra Bee compared to the Light Bee. So this actually weighs 86 kilos. So if you're American, that's like 175 pounds, roughly, something like that. Compared to a Light Bee, which is around 47. So you've got like an extra 35, 40 kilos on top of your Light Bee. So that's definitely something you're going to have to factor in if you're going to be loading it in and out of a van or a car. Obviously, don't get me wrong, the battery is easily removable on this. So if you want to check the battery out, that takes around 22 kilos away from the weight. So yeah, it might be 35, 40 kilos difference, but really it's 15, 20 kilos difference once the battery is removed. And to be honest, with the battery removed, it feels a similar weight, to be honest, as my Triple X did, with all its upgraded wheels, extra anodized parts, stuff like that. It felt a similar weight. Obviously, this has just got a bit more on the side. Power, obviously, a stock Light Bee comes with 6 kilowatts or like 5, 4.5, depending on which version you get, what year, and where you get it from. This comes out of the box with 12.5, which is, well, it's more than double the power of a stock Light Bee, which is definitely noticeable. Even with the added weight, this feels a real lot more powerful. I was so gassed first time I rode this because it was absolutely crazy. So yeah, basically the size, the weight, the power, the suspension and everything all make this feel like 2 or 3 times the bike that a Light Bee would ever be. I upgraded my Talaria Triple X suspension front and rear to the floors and stuff. The top of the ring, Pork 31 Pros. I have got videos in the description about when I put them on and what I thought about them. But after going on them and then coming on this, even with my upgraded forks, this is so much better. Front and rear is literally, I'm talking 5-6 times better, completely stock. People upgrade these forks to the Sirius or the new KKE ones. Rear shock, everyone upgrades as well. And to be completely honest, if you're coming from a Light Bee or a Triple X, you are not going to need suspension upgrades for this. So if you are coming into these E-Motos and you have not ever had one before, and you are thinking about getting the Ultra Bee, I do think it's quite a brave move. I think if you've rode actual dirt bikes before, then yes, this would be a reasonable purchase. Whereas if you're coming from mountain bikes and you want an electric bike and you're a bit of a taller rider and you want to get the Ultra Bee as your first electric bike, I think it's quite a bold move, if I'm completely honest with you. Coming from a mountain bike to this is not the same as a mountain bike. Whereas if you were coming from a mountain bike, you had a Light Bee or a Triple X or something like that, and then after a little period of time you then wanted the bigger bike, you already know what you're expecting at that point. So if you already know what you're expecting, you can make that own decision of, do I actually want the bigger bike? There is a few places that do let you hire out these little bikes. In Perfect Trials, I am going to be doing a video there soon because I am going to be going. In Perfect Trials looks like an amazing place. They ride EMX bikes, so they don't ride sort of surrons, but you can get a feel for the size, sort of the power, the weight. It might not be the same, it might be slightly refined on a surron, but you should definitely try one of them out to make sure. But if you're coming from a mountain bike and getting one of these, I think it's very, very brave. One thing that cannot go unmentioned, I've spoken about suspension, I've spoken about handling and everything, but the actual brakes on the Ultra Bee are literally nuts. These brakes, honestly, I've never felt brakes like this. It's become quite a bit of a trend in the UK for people to upgrade the surron brake from a Light Bee to the Ultra Bee brake, which I totally understand, because these brakes are 10 times better. Another thing for the Ultra Bee is obviously that 74 volt 55 amp hour battery does give you probably 1.5 times what a Light Bee would get you. So if you're getting 30 miles on a Light Bee, you're probably looking at closer to 40, 45 on this. It is that much of a difference, to be honest. Obviously, with range it does depend on how you use it. If you are in sport mode and you're hammering it at 50 miles an hour everywhere, you're not going to get anywhere close to that sort of range. But it obviously does depend on how you're riding. Another thing that again sets this bike apart from the little Light Bee is the technology that actually goes into this bike. So with this, it's not only got 2 modes. Get that on you off. So yeah, the actual technology on this bike is so much more advanced. It might not be an actual technology itself, but a Light Bee only has Sport and Eco, whereas this has got 3 modes straight off the bat. You've got Sport, Daily and Eco. So obviously that Daily probably sets you at about 10 kilowatts roughly. Sport's at 12.5, and then an Eco is probably a mundane 3.5 kilowatts, something like that. You just feel like the Eco's got more than on a Light Bee, but that's not really relevant. You don't want to be an Eco anyway. Another thing this has got is kill switch, all stuff like that. You have actually got a reverse button on this as well, which I do get used quite a bit, because obviously back it up tear. I get a fair bit of use out of the reverse simply because I get myself stuck and it's not as easy to pivot turn with it. I think we're down, yeah. So you might think obviously this comparison's a little bit unfair because I'm comparing a more expensive bike to a less expensive bike, which is definitely a factor that I have thought about. So this bike was a road legal version from Patriot Bike, £5,300, whereas a little Light Bee, road legal as well, we're going to say, is about £4,000. So this is 1,500 more than a Light Bee. If you get the smaller bike, you could upgrade the suspension possibly, something like that. But even still, with say suspension upgrade, like I said, this is 10 times better still. Then you've still got double the power on this. So yeah, you can put a controller on it instead of suspension, but then you're still lacking that suspension, you're lacking the wheels, you're lacking tyres. It is a much better investment going for this bigger platform straight off the bat. Obviously the only reason I didn't go for this bike straight off the bat was simply because I'd never had one of these. I'd never had a dirt bike, I'd never had anything like this, never had a powered e-bike. Literally I went straight from nothing to the Triple X. Wait, yeah, it was a good move, and I would recommend that if that's what you're going to be doing. I would recommend getting a light bee first if you've never had something like this before. But if you have, 100% it's night and day difference. Obviously the Ultra Bee has probably won most of these categories, other than obviously size and weight, but it's a positive and a negative in the same breath. It depends what you're going to be using them for really, it's actual use case it's going to make, whether you want one of these bikes or you want one of the little ones. If you're going to be riding, we're going to say in alleyways and on parks and stuff, I'm not going to say whether that's legal or not, but if you're going to be riding stuff like that, you probably want the low profile bike. You want something that's not going to draw you much attention. It is a bit quieter on a light bee. This is definitely louder. But the smaller form factor is good for some people. I'm not going to say they're not good bikes, because they're amazing bikes. I absolutely love my Triple X. I hated to see it go. And they are completely different. So if I could have kept the Triple X, I probably would. It would be for a different use case than this. Whereas I go to enduro weekends, I take this to the track, I take this all over with me. I also need the rain, everything like that, so I did need this bike at that point. If it wasn't for what I use it for, and I was just using it to cut around my local area, go to mates' houses, do a few wheelies and that, and just cut about in park, yeah. So the final verdict. If you're coming from never having one of these bikes before and you wanted to get into these E-Motos, unless you're absolutely massive, and by massive I'm talking like 120 kilos, 6'7", you're a big lad, you're going to sort of want to try the small bike first, in my opinion. Unless you've rode bikes before, if you're coming from mountain bikes and you're a big lad, that's the only way I would say get one of these. But completely honest, I think it's such a silly move. I would personally get the smaller bike first, because I'm a big lad, I'm 6'2", I was 110 kilos when I got my Triple X, and it handled it completely fine. You do feel a bit big for the bike, but that's completely normal, you are big for it in pit bike, you know what I mean? Whereas, if you are coming from riding dirt bike, or you've had a light bee and you're wanting to upgrade, as an upgrade, 100%, you will not be disappointed with it. This is complete next level really. If you love a light bee, and you love everything that it's capable for, and what type of version it gets you, you're going to absolutely love this bike. More range, more power, more suspension, more weight, longer wheelbase. It's such a more capable bike. But like I say, it is just, if you're going to be using it sort of legally, or if you're going to be in the countryside frequently, size doesn't really matter. But if you ain't got one of these bikes and you're debating whether getting one, if I'm completely honest, no matter which bike you get, you are going to be happy with it. It's so good getting out on these bikes. The final verdict is just get yourself an e-bike, man. Get yourself one of these bikes and just get out and enjoy yourself. Whenever you get nice weather, just get out on your bikes now.
So we're back at the end of the video, and I hope this has made your decision of which bike to get just that little bit easier. As I said in the video, there's not really a wrong answer when it comes to these bikes. Whether you get something tiny, you got Hyper Bee or anything like that, or an Ultra Bee, you're going to have fun on it regardless. So I won't be worrying about you're not going to enjoy your bike that you get. Whatever bike you get is going to be absolutely amazing, but it's just for what kind of use case you're going to be doing, for what kind of things you're going to be throwing at it, and the whole legality thing as well. So it depends where you're going to be riding, if you're going to be out in the countryside or whatever else. So hopefully that's made your decision a lot easier. Obviously the Ultra Bee is the better bike, simple as that. Some people can't have the bigger bike, can't store it in their house, they don't want to be rolling around on a big thing that looks like a 125, they want to be looking like an actual mountain bike. So for them people, you would want the Light Bee. But if you was going to compare the two, obviously, as you've seen in this video, it's Ultra Bee all the way, do you know what I mean? Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. If you haven't already, make sure you're hitting that like button. Leave us a comment on something that might have interested you in this video. And if you are going to be getting the Ultra or the smaller bikes, let me know which one you're getting, because there's a load of small bikes about now, so I'm interested to know what bike people are getting and what people are choosing now. Shifty e-bike signing out. Bow.